Hello bots and bits fans, I am very excited to bring you Robot Heroes' next two products, CG03 and 04, Skywarp and Thundercracker respectively. It's great to finally see some more products coming from Robot Heroes. The last thing we saw from them was their Takara green Starscream and their white panel lined oversized Starscream back in December, so it's been nearly 6 months, which is quite a while between product releases. And they're still not done. I think in around August they're releasing their Evangelion Starscream, which is based off the artwork in the short comic that Takara shipped with their official MP11 I've. Basically colouring him like the first attacking angel in the series, Satchel, which is my personal favourite angel out of the whole series, so I'm really excited about this one. But anyway, let's get into some of the details. And first out, here is the box it comes in. As you can see, Robot Heroes have spared no expense. What a beautiful shade of brown that is, and some crisp black lettering. Let's get that out of the way. Now, in the box, we get these generic instructions, calling them airstrikes. It is the same instructions for all of them, the same photos, etc. There is something in here that they don't cover, and that is the lever mechanism inside the abdomen here. I'll cover that a little bit later. We also get wing stickers for Thundercracker and wing stickers for Skywarp. Now, I had hoped that these would be similar to the dry rubs that we got from Yes Model, which work really, really well. That isn't the case. They are just a matte sticker. I'm undecided if I put these on or not. I might put them on in the video and just see how they look. See, it's just a regular sticker. I'm worried that that would probably peel, but we'll see how we go. Also in the box, we get, well, both of them get the exact same smirking face. Now that's a little bit disappointing. I would have hoped that they would have come with different faces each, but what are you going to do? I don't really think that this suits either of them, so I won't be putting them on. I'll just leave the smirking face on my Starscream. But the silver paint is done well. The eyes are really reflective. Let me see if I can... I can't really get... There we go. Really reflective. The plastic is done really well. Can't seem to find sprue marks anywhere. That is just super tidy. A bit of a mold line along there, but that's nothing. Springy ears for transformation, and pretty much it. Both heads are exactly the same, and there are no defects or anything. Now, to swap the heads over, we're just going to grab Skywarp, grab him by the back of the head and under the chin, and pull up while supporting the back of the head. You really don't want to bend or break that ball socket. And then putting the new head on is a pain in the ass. It is super tight. Hang on. The hardest bit is just getting a good grip on it without gripping any moving parts on his body. Oh, I'm probably going to have to grease that. Oh, there we go. Got it. It is a good sculpt, but I don't think it really suits Skywarp all that much. I'll be putting his regular head back on. I also like the paint on the regular head more. It's got more of a glossy reflectiveness. We also get a crappy pilot, which... This is one of them things that they could probably just forget. I don't think too many people would be too worried about it. But whatever. The detail is not too bad, considering what they're blowing it up from. And lastly, the flight stand. No logo or anything, but we do have the emblem space here to put a sticker on if we choose. Get the arm underneath and the Megatron gun clip. No Megatron gun, but they are releasing a accessory pack, which has been pushed back till the end of July, I think they last said to me. And that is 6 different faces, fuel pods, new missiles, Megatron gun, and for Starscream, a coronation set. And they do tab onto the flight stand pretty well. That all goes in very strong. It does have a little bit of the wobbles, considering just how big and hefty and heavy these things are. It's sort of to be expected, but I would have liked it to be a little bit more sturdier than that. Better than it was. The CG02 that I have, I think, in my video was much worse than that, and so was the Tanaka, I think, but a couple of wobbles and it is coming off. See, I'm getting a gap there. It's eventually going to come off. So let's just leave that for now. So if you're going to display him on the flight stand in bot mode, I wouldn't put him in any wobbly cabinets or anything. Now this makes me really happy to see. Skywarp is my absolute favourite of the three Seekers, and in this Takara old style MP06 colour scheme, I'm lost for words. I love it so much. This is exactly what I wanted. And because of that, I've gone up and down Skywarp over and over, looking for faults, looking for errors, imperfections, things that I might dislike or ruin it for me. I like to self-sabotage. And I've only found two. That's right, out of this whole guy, I've found two errors. And one is up here in the vent. Can you see up here, I've got a little bit of silver overspray just coming up the edge there. That's one. And the second is further down on the toe. I've got some sort of muck or paint or wash or something on the inside of the toe. See that? That's quite messy. That's no idea what that is. But they are the only errors out of the whole thing. So colour me impressed. They have done a fantastic job. The purple on the boob rockets here, look. No scratches. No fuzziness, it's got a real crisp edge. The gunmetal paint on the boobs themselves, there's no spots, it's not powdery. One solid reflection coming off them. The silver stripes here on the shoulders, such a crisp edge on them, and it just highlights the detail in the shoulder bit perfectly. Look at that. Oh, wait a minute, have I found another one? Oh, there's a one more fault right up here. See this little tiny black chip just in the corner. Damn you. No, I can live with that. That's fine. And you've got the gunmetal here on the null ray or laser, machine gun, missile launcher, whatever you want to call it. That is just done really, really well. It has a matte feel to it. So it does feel like if you're messing with this, over time you may rub some off, but I can't imagine you'd really be stroking this too much unless you're a little bit weird or that's your thing, and then go for it. The silver on the wrists is done just as well as on the shoulder. Look at that, what a crisp edge, and you can see that they haven't flooded the inside of this detail with paint, so it's got that nice little shadow coming up, bringing in the detail. Now they haven't continued that all the way around. On the old Takara, they had a panel here that would cover it up, but they haven't done that on this one. The stripes, I'm going to just focus there, they are on the other side, and they're done to a similar standard, and the other side is done the same way. So I'm pretty impressed by that. And then into the obliques and abdomen area, you can see they've gone for a much more reflective silver. This is very similar to the face. I would have preferred the gunmetal color from the hips and crutch area. That's an awesome color. Look how that captures the light. That looks cool. I would have preferred that all the way through, and then it would have matched the boobs as well. But you know, what are you gonna do? It doesn't look terrible. That's just my personal taste. I would have preferred the one color straight through. You can see that the cockpit is a much darker color. They've like increased the tint on that. I think that looks awesome. So you can't see all the stuff inside. Gives his body a bit more shape, I think. There's no paint on the legs. It's just all black plastic. Same with the shins, except for this one little bit here of reflective red. Now, this is done pretty well, but I do have a couple of overspray spots just there and just there, just at the bottom really. But see, look how reflective that is. See it? The light bouncing off my fingers onto that. It almost looks like a Cylon eye, doesn't it? That is cool. That's done really well. There's no fuzziness or missed spots or anything. Let me just get some light in there from my fingers. See, that is, it's just done really well. The purple shin piece is just molded plastic. And then onto the feet, we have that gunmetal from the crutch area, sort of. More of a, it's got a bit of green in there. On the toe, with a very reflective silver in the middle. And you can see it's not done powdery at all. That is a really good effect, especially this toe. That almost looks printed on, really. It's done so perfectly. But I do have that little splodgy bit there. I'll try and clean it off. No idea what it is. Let's see if it just... Nah, it doesn't want to rub off. I'll see what I can do. Don't worry, I didn't forget. We'll cover the details on the wing. The Army logo here is done super crisp. I don't think that's painted. I reckon it's some sort of printing process to get it that sharp. I don't know what the significance of these pentagon shapes are, but they're done well. I'm pretty sure this was meant to say no step, but it says no over. Totally legible. Every letter is very sharp and crisp. You can also see up on the sides here that even the yellow paint, come back camera, even the yellow paint on the sides here is done really well. Every edge, although it doesn't go all the way to the end of the wing, it is a very consistent shape. There's no chipping, there's no anything. And the red is done really well. Red on black, often get a lot of black coming through. Nah, that's vibrant as. So with that out of the way, let's get onto the articulation. Now, head is on a ball socket, which isn't as tight as CG01 or 02, but it's not falling over. It's not, it's holding its pose fine. It's just a little bit loose, that's all. You have the intakes here, which a lot of people leave back, but I think the transformation calls for it to be forward. We have the boob rockets, which don't really want to open. That was stiff. And they're unpainted. Not that anyone cares. Has anyone ever really displayed their MP11 figures with the rockets out? I've never seen it. I've never done it. Just curious. But they are both stiff on the hinges. The arm ratchets all the way around like that, and they're reasonably strong. That feels a little bit softer than CG02, but hitting it, yeah, it's a little bit softer. Hang on. Bringing in CG02, we can see that his arm ratchets are much, much stronger. But I'm pretty sure it is only this one arm. If I lift this one up, see, that one is as you would expect it. It's just this one that's a little bit loose. But anyway, we do have the upward motion, which is quite loose actually. Let me just, yeah, that's starting to fall down under the weight of its own arm. Look, that's not too good. What about this side? That side's better, but still a little bit loose, and it's not this section here, which is historically quite wobbly. There's no movement in this bit at all, see? Hardly any. It's just this screw in here, a little bit loose, but that side is looser, which is a little disappointing. Onto the rest, the usual amount of waist swivel for MP11. Oh, hang on, null raise. The ball socket for the null raise is really tight. Look, trying to turn the null ray turns the arm instead. So that's good, I suppose. They're not flopping about, falling out of place. But upper bicep, very stiff. The double elbow, that's just as good. The rotation on the wrist is stiff. These fingers are awesome. I really dig the Robot Hero's hands. Hang on a sec. They are really strong and really well articulated. They're not floppy. There's not even sprue marks on it. Nah, not even sprue marks. That is really tidy. And the other side is the same, I believe. That ball socket is a little bit looser. Bicep swivel's good. Elbow hinge is good, and the fingers are exactly the same as the other side. Even the thumb isn't loose at all. And again, not a single sprue mark anywhere. So tidy. Right, so onto the hips. Now they have improved a problem that I had with CG02. Not completely, but they have improved it a little bit. And that was, hang on, let me just bring in CG02. Now the problem I had was excessive play between the ratchets. So you can see when I pick him up, see that? That's quite loose. Go up a couple. See? The other side had it as well, although not as bad. Hang on. That's a bit stiffer, but the play is still there. right? And I had that problem with CG01 Starscream. So on Skywarp, the play is still there, but it is much stiffer, and the legs barely wobble when shaken. So it is still there to a point, but it is better. Even go up a click, still got play, but see, it's holding it. See, it's not flopping. On one hand, I wish they could have eliminated that altogether, but on the other hand, it does help make posing a little bit better. You're not just stuck to each ratchet click. You can get a millimeter or two each way. It's a little bit of a silver lining, I guess. Alright, so on to the rest. Now, the rest of the hips, we do have forward all the way, and they're not going anywhere. Back to there. Not going anywhere again. So you have the upper thigh swivel, which is good and stiff on both sides. Double jointed knee. Now, difference with Robot Heroes over MP11 and Tanaka is they've hidden the knee joint, extended the thigh out a bit. So all the way around. Strong as, not going anywhere. To have out. Out to there. So not the widest A stance, but you know, it's there, and one of them flopped in, the other one didn't. Then onto the toes. Just zoom in a bit, there we go. Now the toes are really stiff, look at that. Go to turn the toe and it turns the leg instead. And the leg, the upper thigh was quite strong, so that's a very strong toe. Not so on this side, but still really stiff. And the forward and back is quite stiff as well. So, alright, so now that Skywarp is covered, I think that's everything. I hope it's everything. Let's get on to Thundercracker. Thankfully, Thundercracker is much better than Skywarp. Although Skywarp isn't bad, there's just a couple of those looseness issues which are a little bit annoying. But yes, Thundercracker is much better. I'll cover articulation first because that's what we were just talking about. The arms all the way out are really, really stiff. They're not dropping very easily at all. The ratchet, that already sounds a lot better. Hang on, let me just... That's better already on both sides. The ball sockets for the null rays aren't as stiff. Oh, that one is on the same side, which is a little bit annoying. Now, something to do with my null rays, this one has a black arm on it, and this one has a blue arm. So they got mixed up somewhere. Personally, the black actually looks much better than the blue, if you ask me. So I would have been happy with two black, to be honest. Anyway, moving on. The upper bicep swivel is really stiff on that one, but it's stiff on that one as well, just as you would want it. The elbows are strong. They're just what you want. This one, I'm hitting him too hard. So, arms are all good. The hands, the fingers, they're not loose at all. That little finger is a little bit, but the rest of it is fine. Same with the thumb here. That's just as good. Very good swivel. Again, no sprue marks anywhere on that hand. Again, that is really, really tidy. Let's just turn it over. So it's looking good. Alright, boob rocket windows. Again, stiff to open, no paint. Right, the intakes are like ratcheted forward and back, holding well. The arms out, barely dropping at all. Same as always, little bit of waist swivel, nothing worthwhile, hardly any play. Look at that. Compared to the others, that is nothing. Out is a little bit loose. So that's like, yeah, see, a little bit loose on the out, but on the forward, not at all. And hang on, the wing just come out. Get in there. And on the back, if I can get it to go back, just as good. Right, let's just get that back into position. Upper thigh swivel isn't as tight as Skywarp, but it's not flopping anywhere, so it's decent. The double knee again, not going anywhere. The toe swivel, very strong. Same with the thrusters, are really stiff. Toe swivel on this side, not as tight as that one, but still, you can hear it, listen. Still tight. Forward and back is good. Thruster is good. Hang on, let me pose it. Overall, Thundercracker's joints are much better than my Skywarp. That could just be a case for my Skywarp. On my Skywarp, the hips out are much stronger than on this Thundercracker, so, you know, as with a lot of KOs and even third parties now these days, your mileage may vary. So articulation is out of the way. Let's take a good hard look at the paint and details. I was really hard pressed to find any errors at all with this thing, and similar to Skywarp, I've only found two. One is in the same air vent intake up here. I don't have any spilt paint, but you can see this silver line here is a little bit fuzzy. There we go. See, it gets a little bit fuzzy on that end. That's it for up the top. And then down the bottom on the shins, hang on, let me just get down here. Shine some light in there. I do have the tiniest bit of overspray there. And there, just onto the blue plastic. Only the littlest bit. Not even 0.5 millimeter. That's it. That's all the errors. The paint on this is just amazing. It is impeccable. Those are the only faults I could find on the entire thing. Look up at the face. The face is done superbly. There is not a single bit out of alignment on the face. The sort of gunmetal style here on the boobs is done really well. Same with the blue stripe all the way around it, if you can see that. Hang on. Look at that, both sides. Look at that blue stripe. That is perfect. And then the details on the silver stripe on the shoulder. Not a single chip. Let's see if I've got the same chip as Skywarp. Oh, I do. Just under there. And it's the exact same one on Skywarp. Maybe it's meant to actually be like that. Yeah, it looks like it. It's just a section of the panel. See it right there. There's just a small section of panel where they haven't managed to get any paint. Further down the arm, have the blue stripes on the forearms here. They are not very bright at all. Not sure why they haven't gone for a brighter color. I'm sure on the Takara it was much more noticeable, but on this one, not so much. Not such a big deal. The paint itself is done really well, and like the others, we have the black detail inside the gaps coming through, which helps break it up a bit. And again, with the others, it doesn't go all the way around, but it is on the underneath of the arms as well. Silver in the abdomen area is done really well, just like Skywarp. No chips or scratches, really reflective. Not the same color as the crotch and hip areas or the chest, but it is done really, really well. Again, Skywarp, I prefer the gunmetal color down lower. I think it would have looked better if they had done that over the entire silver sections of the figure, but again, that's just me. No paint on the legs at all, none on the shins. We have painted, is that painted or cast? No, cast black plastic for the shins, and again, that highly reflective red underneath the vent here. That is just fantastic. I've already looked at that, so let's look at the other side. Look at that. That is awesome. Again, only just the slightest amount of overspray at the bottom on both legs, but I don't care. Look at that. Alright, the toes are done in a darker gunmetal. It's almost a gloss black, really. See? Very, very glossy with a muted silver on top of the toe. It's all done well. There's no chips, no scratches, anything. Again, I only found those couple of faults in the shin and at the top of the intake, so I'm pretty impressed with how they've gone about this. The last detail to go over are the wing details. Now, let's just see if I can focus. There we go. Now, they are done just as well. It still says no over. It's not quite as clear on the blue as it is on the black, but it is still very sharp and you can read what it says. We have the pentagon shapes up here, plus the yellow paint is done the exact same way as Skywarp. Actually, I think it's a bit more neater. This has more rounded edges underneath every single bump down the side, whereas Skywarp sort of had little chunks taken out of each one. So I'm going to say that's better. The red is done really well. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but the blue plastic actually has a slight metallic flake to it. See that? All through the wings. I'm not noticing it too much on his arms or parts of his body, but the wings for sure. Now, before I cover some of the transformation related mold changes and then get into jet mode, we're going to do some size comparisons and group shots. So here they are with CG01 Starscream. Oh, a little bit unsteady. Hang on. I had him on carpet, so his feet are all messed up. There we go, much better. There they all are together. He's blocking Skywarp. And I don't know, I'm not feeling the panel line Starscream with these two guys. I think, I don't know, the white is just a little bit too much. These guys are very dark and metallic, and they look very awesome. This is much more cartoon. So I'm not really feeling it with CG01. But with CG02, however, it all matches as you would expect. They're all a very, very similar palette of colors and quality. While this Starscream color doesn't really fit the character himself, I think as a group, it fits much better. But of course, that is completely up to you, what you buy and how you display. I'll just put them all together. It's a bit hard, but my filming space isn't really equipped for all four of them. They sort of take up the whole space that I have. There we go, that's a decent shot. What do you think? White or green, or maybe even Tanaka, slightly smaller? That would sort of make sense. Starscream having a tall poppy syndrome, being jealous of his taller, better looking brethren. But we're talking about robot heroes here, so let me know which one you prefer. Okay, all the bot mode details are out of the way, comparisons, blah blah blah, all of that. I'm not going to cover the transformation into jet mode. Been over this before. There are a gazillion videos on how to do it. It is pretty much exactly the same, and the couple of steps where it's not, I'm going to cover right now with the changes and mold improvements. Now, I don't have a Tanaka anymore to compare the feet, but the first one I will bring up is, like I've already mentioned previously, they've changed the style of the toe. It sticks out much further, and the surface area here is much wider. Now, I'll just bring in Yes Model Starscream so you can get an idea of the angle differences. I'm not sure if that's coming up very well or not. See the angle of the toe on Starscream, and then compare that to Skywarp. You can see the Skywarp one is much longer. The other improvements are the articulated hands. We've been over them. The wings in the back here, they have an extended peg that's much longer and fatter and slots in there perfectly. The boob rockets also have a peg. Let's just get out of the way. Let's just focus on one. The boob rockets here have a peg, so when you move the ratchets up and down, you can see those tits don't move. Not at all, and that is thanks to a little peg just under here. Now I have to show you another alteration and a very, very important step in the transformation. This is very important. I haven't seen it covered by anybody yet. It's not in the instructions, but if you don't do this step, you run the risk of breaking him. Now, how exactly can you break him trying to pull the torso away from the hips? Now, this is a latch, or like a switch. It requires a lot of force to pull it apart if you don't just use the proper way of doing it. I've seen a lot of pictures of people snapping the vents here. Like, see this pin joint up here for the vent? Hang on. Here we go. So the pin joint up here, people grab him like this, and they yank, and they yank, and they yank, and it just won't budge. And then they end up squeezing these two intakes together and snapping those joints or cracking it. Been lots of pictures of it, a lot of returns through some retailers who I know, and that's how it's broken. There's a simple way to do it. You need to open the cockpit, right? See the front of the cockpit in here? Just put your thumb on it like a switch and push. Now, it is detached. Easy, right? If you put that back in, let me just reattach this. So if you line that up, see, hear the click? That's locked in. You do not want to yank on that. Look at this now. Not coming off. And see where I'm squeezing? See that? Look at that flex. That's how you break these intakes. That isn't going anywhere. But push this little nozzle here, in front of the nose cone. Done. Now that we've completed that step, I can show you the pegs underneath the boobs here. So we just grab that, pull it up. See this little peg here? It's more of a stalk, really. That will hold the boobs in perfectly. Now, with this, it is still a thin bit of plastic. Strong, but thin. You do not want to push on top of it. You want to push from the top of the shoulders like this. See how that clicks in? Just untab it. You do not want to push from the turbine here because you're applying. See, look, that doesn't really want to go in. It's not coming at the right angle. But if you push from the top of the shoulder, just up here, it will go in really easily. Other modifications made by Robot Heroes, let's just slide this up, are the ratcheting teeth. Hang on. You go up, you go up. There we go. Ratcheting teeth along the slider here. Now I haven't really noticed that it holds the torso any differently. It is a little bit stiffer on the up and down. Nothing really to write home about. Another thing that has come up recently is the tail fins on the Robot Heroes. Now these seem to want to work their way out all the time. See, look at that. Really easy. It's not flexing the plastic or anything in there. It's just, I think maybe this little connector here, that cylinder bit, I think that might be too big and it's gripping in here too much. Maybe they've tried a little too hard to stop them being floppy, but it doesn't seem to break anything. It's just wiggling its own way out like a caterpillar. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Let me just get all this back together and I'll transform them up, ready for jet mode comparisons. And there they both are in jet mode. Now, I don't really have the space for both of them on here at once, so let's just get Thundercracker out of the way and have a good look at Skywarp. Now, he just looks fantastic. I'm in love with this. This just looks incredible. No colourful stripes, no Hasbro style colours, nothing. It's just a sleek black jet with a few decals on it, a few no step or no over, as they've put on here, marks, and just great colours overall. And you can see it's not a gloss black either, it's a matte black. It's almost got a metallic finish. Look at that, all the way through there. Right, enough gushing aside, the wings are held in really tightly. You can see I don't really have any gaps per se. It's a little bit gappy there. Doesn't really want to squeeze in 100%, but it's not hanging off. Now, the stand does have a little bit of a spring to it. If I just give him a tap, it's not too bad. The wobble in jet mode is pretty reasonable. It doesn't really keep wobbling once I stop, so that's a plus. The connection is really good. You can see he's not coming off, he's on there. Alright, so Thundercracker, let's just bring him in, and I do have better results with Thundercracker. Right, so the problem that I had with Skywarp in jet mode was just the gap here in the wings where they join up the top. As you can see on Thundercracker, that is not an issue at all. It is 100% clipped in. That is a very, very thin line up both sides. It is tabbed in perfectly. Now, we do still have that radar gimmick, if it wants to come out. That is just in there really, really tightly. Gonna focus, there we go. Alright, it's a historically weak hinge. I don't want to break it, but I do still want to get it open. The nose cone is just so glossy that it's hard to get a good grip on it. It's just... Ah, there we go. That did not want to open. They might as well have just glued it shut. Nobody really cares about this radar thing anyway. I just wanted to see if it would actually do it. But just gluing it shut and deleting all this, you might even save a few bucks manufacturing. Let's just close him back up, and I bet he will never be as tightly closed again. Of course, they both still have that air brake, which is something else they could probably delete and save a bit of money. And the thrusters, which on Thundercracker are very, very stiff indeed. Tail fins here, they don't, these ones, look at that. It's not coming off, it's not popping out or anything. So I think the issues of the current releases are just solely with Skywarp. Right, so I got him back on the stand, and I just want to show off the metallic speckle in the blue. In robot mode, it only really looked like it was on the wings, but once you've got him in jet mode, it is the entire top side of the jet. So let's just zoom in and have a really good look. The wings have it more than the rest of it, but it is on the rest of the body. There we go, look at that. See the speckle? Very slight, but a minor detail that's welcomed. Right, that's it. All the details are out of the way. That was a ton of information to take in one sitting. So you're left with the question, should you buy it, and is it worth the real estate it's going to take on your shelf or in your cabinet? Because these things are huge. And the answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. I cannot recommend these enough, especially Thundercracker. The build quality, the aesthetics, everything about it. I had only two faults with Thundercracker, and that was a little bit of fuzzy silver in the intake and a little bit of overspray of red in the shins. That's it. Other than that, this is flawless. I dare say this is the best example of an MP11 engineered figure that I've ever handled. Now, unfortunately, it's not all sunshine, roses, and unicorn farts. My Skywarp did have a couple of issues. The looseness in the arms, for one, the similar paint error there and there, which, as we've already covered, is minor. Had looseness in this arm a little bit as well, which was both a bit disappointing, because that isn't ideal. I'm sure I can just take the screw cover off the back and give it a tighten, and I will. And if it makes any difference, I'll post an update on my Facebook. I'm not going to do it now. Now, 6 months did seem like a super long wait for the next release, but we got two at once, and that just means in 6 months I've been able to get all three Takara styled Seekers, and now the set is complete. I'm so happy with this. That just looks awesome. It doesn't it just look amazing? Now, they've teased that their Sunstorm and Acid Storm are coming out. Sunstorm is meant to be similar to the iGear orange colors. I'll put a picture up for you to see. Now, Skywarp and Thundercracker were provided to me by Show.Z store on Facebook and Aliexpress. Their links are below. Last time I checked, they had a pretty good special on these two guys shipped together. So head over to their Facebook and have a look, see if that takes your fancy. And also head over to their Aliexpress store. They've got a whole heap more stuff up for sale. If you're a fan of what I'm doing, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Check out my Facebook for daily news and updates on third-party and KO stuff, especially this. As always, if you have any comments, questions, love, or corrections, please leave them below. And as always, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for watching, guys.